Ready? Let's go.
All right. All right, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I believe we're already on the 14th or 15th episode. We got the usual panel. We got me and Joseph, and we got the newest member, one of the newest members of World Racing Media. We got Thomas, one of our newest content creators. Great guy. So, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, how are y'all? Glad
Welcome.
to uh, glad to be a part of it.
All right. Now, the reason that, well, I'm not in my usual setup right now. I'm actually on vacation, so that's why I don't have my camera on. In fact, after I do this intro, I'm going to run downstairs and eat dinner and come right back. So Joseph and Thomas, they'll be handling everything in the meantime. So, we got a jam-packed episode coming for you guys today. Obviously, we got the NASCAR triple header at Kentucky. We got the British Grand Prix, and then we got the IndyCars return up north of the border at Toronto. And without further ado, let's get started, and I'll be right back.
Thanks, Armani. Crazy weekend of racing in the books, and much more storylines to come from the Kentucky Speedway. Battle between two of the best brothers in the desert from Las Vegas. At Kentucky, Kurt Busch finally beats his brother, Kyle, and scores his maiden win for Chip Ganassi Racing. This closes a near 2-year drought since Chip Ganassi Racing's last win in the NASCAR Cup Series. Thomas, what is your take on that?
Man, I would have thought that Canassi would have several wins by now. I mean, Kurt has been the banner driver for Chevy. I mean, like or not, with Hendrick, with the two Hendrick drivers winning races. I mean, Curtis just seemed to be that consistent driver that's been in the top 10 week after week after week. And after last week, I was really happy to see him finally come up with a victory.
And yeah, speaking of Kurt Busch, his 2019 record is 5 top fives, 11 top tens along with the win, and he's only led 80 laps. Compare that to 644 from last year in his final season for Stewart Haas Racing. Has the difference improved, Kurt, or has it not?
I think it's absolutely improved Kurt. I think he's got more confidence since he's the who I would consider to be the lead driver for Canassi right now. I mean, last year he seemed to be a playing third fiddle to Boyer and Harvick.
Yeah, you're right. And I tell you because like Kurt Busch and Kyle Larson, we all know Kyle Larson is one of the best drivers out there. He's talented. And there's a long way for him to go.
I'm going to make
No,
I'm
go on.
going to make a I'm going to go ahead and go on record say this now. Larson will not be at Chip Ganassi come Daytona next year.
Why do you think that?
I think he needs a fresh start. I think he's got good equipment. He hasn't lost anything drive wise, but he just cannot close the deal out. That team, every time he gets in position to win, something always happens.
I see bad chemistry.
Exactly. I mean, are they gonna? I mean, I think when it's all said and done, I'm gonna go on the record and say that Ross Chastain will be replacing them.
Speaking of Ross, this guy is everywhere in 2019. Do you see Ross Chastain being a legitimate threat for the Truck Championship come playoff time?
Absolutely. I mean, the guy's been driving all year. He driving between the Xfinity Cup and truck. He goes from declaring Xfinity points to trucks. goes out the very next week, wins Iowa before they took the victory away from him. Then comes back and wins after that. So he's just consistent. I mean, the guy drives with no fear in him.
Yeah, you said that. He's racing off of adrenaline, off his own adrenaline and energy, which
absolutely,
is priceless.
I mean, there's no reason why I can't see a scenario where Chastain will not have a top tier Cup ride next year. I'd love to see Colling move up and have Ross in the Monster Energy full time next year.
Yeah, and not to mention about a driver like Ross Chastain and the adversity he sets, which put a label on him. We'll get into that when we come to trucks and Xfinity, but there's drivers who, and another one, Brent Moffitt is a great example, who we've seen deal with setbacks in the truck series.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from getting fired last year to going with GMS, getting his first win, if you want to call it a win, with Chastain getting DQ'd at Iowa. I mean, he's a legitimate contender for the outdoor truck championship.
Yeah.
But I posed the question today. Who can beat Enfinger?
Grant Enfinger is a very steady driver. The consistency he's shown was it's going to put the pieces together for his championship. However,
does he need a win to can he maintain that consistency without getting a win? Can he be the Ryan Newman of the truck series?
All right. And that's where we're about to get started. The truck series, Tyler Ankrum, 18-year-old driver from Sacramento, California, scores his first win driving for DGR Krause Racing. That is the David Gilliland's first win as an owner. And here's a fun fact. Tyler Ankrum becomes the first driver born in the 2000s decade to win a national series race in the top 3 series. Also, he won the East Series championship last year for K&N. All right, moving on from there. Stuart Friesen. Truck confiscated. Finishes second. All right, just let's see. We got Harrison Burton. Third place.
You know, I've brought this up in the last couple of days. You know, speaking of Harrison Burton, do you see a scenario where Todd Gilliland and Burton both are out at KBM? I mean, knowing the fact that Kyle went 5 for 5. Biffle came out of nowhere and won the race. I mean, they both had good years, but we could likely see a scenario to where neither one of the KBM trucks make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. And KBM, there's high expectations. Todd Gilliland and Harrison Burton are both great young drivers, without a question. However, there's a missing piece in those two drivers, and that's grit. I don't see the grit in them. I don't see the 110%, like 10% of the 110 effort.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, they just seem to be more or less flying under the radar, which is pretty impressive considering they both drive for Kyle Busch. But with that being said, I kind of mentioned a scenario to where we all know Haley Deegan is going up into the Truck Series next year. Does she indeed drive for Kyle Busch Motorsports next year?
All right, here's my take. Haley Deegan is so far one of the better up and coming drivers, just like Todd Gilliland and Harrison Burton themselves. Haley Deegan is on a pathway. She's also under a bigger microscope. And yes, we all know she's a female driver, and sometimes, unfortunately, the first other drivers that are compared to her are names like Danica Patrick, which she's doing to avoid. And she's trying to make a name for herself. Only 17 years old. I want to see her in the Truck Series. I believe Haley Deegan can race part-time for Kyle Busch next year for select races. And heck, she should race in the Eldora, the Eldora Classic.
Oh, absolutely. I kind of threw out there, does she drive a couple of races in Xfinity next year?
That's even a bigger question. However, what's the risk of jumping a driver?
You go into a William Byron scenario. I love William Byron, and I love everything that the kid's got, but he was definitely rushed up through the ranks way too quick.
Yes.
I mean, I think he should have been down. He should have been in the Xfinity at least another year.
Yeah, and it's funny because William Byron got me questioning. Like last year, I didn't see much out of him. Like, I wasn't impressed. I can pull up his stats.
But do we see the same thing possibly happening to Christopher Bell, where he's rushed up into the Cup Series next year to avoid Toyota losing him to a Stewart Haas or somebody of that caliber?
You know, Christopher Bell is also under the microscope. He's one of the big three drivers that are running Xfinity this year, along with Tyler Reddick and Cole Custer. Just thinking the scrutiny people have for him.
Because those those three drivers will all be in Cup next year. There's no question in my mind.
Yeah, the Cup Series, they'll be there soon. We do have to talk about the Xfinity race. After the let's finish up with the trucks though, real quick. Just before we move on to Xfinity, and we'll move forward with what you were saying. Enfinger wrecked out with Brandon Jones in the truck race. Brett Moffitt ran out of fuel, finished 7th. Next race will be round 14 at Pocono, July 27th. All right, now Xfinity Series, round 17 of 33 at Kentucky. Cole Custer led 88 laps under for his 5th victory of the year. Christopher Bell finished at 2nd, led 72 laps. And Tyler Reddick, the Big 3 driver, finishes in 3rd. And here's a fun fact, only 5 cars finished on the lead lap. Cole Custer never had a multi-winning season before in his career until 2019. And now there's 5.
Bringing his win total up to 7 in his career.
Correct.
But that Kentucky race was absolutely a snooze fest.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no way, there was no passing out there at all. Whoever got out in the lead was in great position.
Exactly.
I mean, it was a far cry from the even the Cup Series race. I mean, besides the last few laps of the Cup race, that was a snooze fest. And I dare say, if Wallace had spun out, bringing that final caution out, Logano was going to easily run away with the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, there was, Kyle Busch was in the lead at the time, but yeah, Logano had a good car towards the end of that Cup race. But yeah, just back to Xfinity real quick. The point standings, Reddick still has the lead, 67 over Bell, 75 over Custer. We'll be back at Loudon next week.
So question becomes, with Reddick having the points lead right now, does he end up winning the Xfinity?
Okay, so Tyler Reddick is the reigning Xfinity champion, regardless of how he won it. However, he's coming in 2019, and by far is having the better season.
Despite Custer and his 5 wins.
It was Custer has 5 wins, which is true. Bell has 4.
Right.
So does Reddick. But it's not just their wins, which I find impressive.
Right.
It's the let's find the top 5s, the top 10s. Their laps being led.
Right.
So as a result,
Right.
you can clearly say that Tyler Reddick may have the upper end which I agree upon.
Or what?
Okay. Also, there are 9 races left to the playoffs. 12 drivers make it in on the cut line. Inside is Brandon Jones driving for Joe Gibbs Racing, surrounded by mediocre teams. And the Xfinity Series playoffs from after the Alsco 300. So basically, Brandon Jones is surrounded by drivers like Greg Alding, Ryan Sieg, Brandon Brown, and he's 12th.
Yeah,
Will
that says something, especially being in top-notch equipment like he is.
All right, Daniel, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
Sorry, got you a little late.
That's fine.
Let's hear your take on the Truck Series, Dan.
The Truck Series at Kentucky, I got to say, it was somewhat entertaining with Brett Moffitt running out of fuel and Tyler Ankrum getting his first career win. I'm really happy for Tyler Ankrum in that number 17.
Yeah, Tyler Ankrum, I gotta tell you, he drove really, really hard out.
Oh yeah.
I think it was 3 or 4 races ago. This guy was starting parking for Joe Nemechek, and his ride was actually under question.
Yeah.
They didn't know if he was going to.
I am
stay-
back. The return is here after the abrupt leave.
Nice. Just 5 minutes. Good.
All
Bingo.
right, what are we talking about? Sorry I interrupted, by the way.
Talking trucks, talking Xfinity.
All right, what are we on right now?
We're in a little of both.
All right. So trucks. Moffitt choked it, unfortunately.
He ran out of
Yeah.
fuel.
Unfortunately, you ran out of fuel.
Like Kamikaze said, he's supposed to be the smartest guy in the field. So it's like,
True.
like Moffitt, like one of the things about Brett Moffitt is like he's supposed to be one of the smartest guys in the garage area. And so the fact that that's how he lost is kind of embarrassing.
If you say so. I think that was a failure on the behalf of his crew chief.
Yeah, that's true too. Like, because fuel mileage is one of those things where it's like, you know how many laps. Like, you know how many laps you have left on fuel. So how would you know? It's like, you're telling me that you didn't know if you had enough fuel. Now, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, fuel mileage, when you run out of fuel, it's one of those things where it's like, how many laps to go was it when he ran out of fuel?
I think we're around 5 to go.
Okay, if it's like 5 to go, you're not going to save 5 laps worth of fuel. So, where did Moffitt finish anyway?
7th.
Oh, So we actually got to do. I think like most of them were off the lead lap. So, but yeah, Tyler Ankrum. I did. Here's the thing. I did think that after tonight, Ben Rhodes would be pushed out of the playoffs. I just picked the wrong driver to do it. I thought
Yeah.
Harrison Burton, after his string of top 5 finishes, we still got a top 5, by the way, if that string continues. I thought Harrison Burton would knock him out. Like, he'd get his first win. But no, it's
Right.
Tyler Ankrum that gets the win. Which, let's see here. Dylan Lupton, I think he gets, what, a top 5 finish? Or something like that? I think he got, like, 5th or something. So Dylan Lupton gets 5th. Tyler Ankrum is winning. And basically, I think even Ryan Reed got a top 10 when he raced for DGR and Las Vegas. So, I guess Decker's too focused on her selfies to be focused on her actual racing.
Yeah.
Which takes me onto the one of a few number tempers being flared. Few numbers. I'm trying to find
Yeah, tempers being
tempers flaring. You had Ben Rhodes and
Which is unfortunate.
who'd have been Rhodes gone?
flared. Ben Rhodes and I don't know. I know there was Brandon Jones and Grant Enfinger. There was obviously Spencer Boyd and Natalie Decker, which Spencer Boyd made a fan out of me for that shirt. I want that shirt.
That's funny. Yeah, she picked up his hat and threw it on the ground.
Yeah, like a child.
Speaking of her team, they finally won a truck race.
Yeah.
We saw
With
it.
they have with a driver that actually has talent. And think about it. How many more races does he have with DGR? Or is he with DGR the rest of the season?
And by the way, why aren't there as much ARCA races and as much truck or not truck races, but as much K&N and ARCA races as they announced?
Well, probably because next year's when they're merging the two series.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next year they're probably going to merge it. The one thing, I just don't want K&N to have so many mile-and-a-halves. I think K&N should be, majority short tracks. If you want to throw in a mile-and-a-half, at least do only 1 mile-and-a-half. That's it.
I remember back in the ARCA series, they would have a race at Fontana, the West Series.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, back when it was the Winston West.
Oh, okay. Who won ARCA? Was it Eckes or Smith?
The ARCA race at Elko was won by Chandler Smith.
Yeah, Chandler Smith. Probably.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't like saying that these guys are there's only 2 people currently that I think are truly the top. I truly think are cup ready. Or are going to be the next big thing. Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain. Because Ross Chastain is an absolute wheel man. I think he is top 10, if not top 5 most talented drivers in the entire NASCAR right now. And Tyler Reddick, because he has that cup experience, and he was competing for his first win in just a second start. I don't want to say Christopher Bell or Cole Custer, because number one, Cole Custer, he made a couple cup starts last year, but they were for Rick Ware Racing. I think they had somewhat of support with some Stuart Haas support, but even nothing. And Christopher Bell, he's never been in a Cup car. So I don't want to say anything about Christopher Bell being a future Cup Series star until I see him in a Cup car and see what he could do in it. And granted, depending on the equipment, if he's with a front row motorsports, just throw a name out there. And yeah, you throw it in, unless they get a technical line, probably not going to do nothing with it. Which is why with Levine Family Racing, I don't think if he does go to Levine Family Racing, depending on how much extra backing that they get. Because I think that here's the thing: everyone's saying that Levine Family Racing isn't getting the backing that Furniture Row got when they had the JJ Alliance. I think that they will, if they do put Bell in Levine Family Racing, they will get that and they will get more. Why? Because they have their driver in there. Just think about it. The Benedetto isn't really a JGR driver. Same way Truex wasn't really a JGR driver. Like, they kind of they were just there. But if Bell is a priority, Bell is a JGR Toyota driver, then they'll give them the resources because they want Bell to perform.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Christopher Bell, we know his talents are there.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying his talent. I'm
know.
just saying. I
just
want to
building-
wait until he's in a cup car and see what he could do.
But here's what I'm going to say. Christopher Bell is under a major microscope.
Yeah, he really is.
Oh, yeah.
And I said this to Tommy not long ago about Haley Deegan put in the same spot.
Spotlight.
Mm-hmm. Christopher Bell is being watched by the world. Oh, he's going to replace Eric Jones. Oh, he's going he's going to be in the 20 car and so on.
But if it does happen, where does Eric Jones go to? That's the question.
Stuart Haas.
Stuart Haas in the 41, really?
Stuart Haas in the 41. I still think that Busch is out at Ganassi or even Larson. And I can see a scenario where Busch, where Larson, or where Chastain and Suarez both go to Ganassi.
So you think that Ganassi next year is going to have a complete rehaul of drivers?
Oh, he's got to. I mean, look at what Kyle Larson has done. Absolutely nothing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's the thing with Larson. I don't doubt his talent. But it's at the point where it's not that he drives his car so hard all the time. He needs to learn how to conserve his stuff.
Right.
But it's at the point where it's he's in his 6th season? And he hasn't even done that yet? Which is I'm not trying to dog on Larson. He's one of, I like Larson. I really do.
Yeah, he's a great driver.
Yeah, but it's at the same time, it's he needs to learn how to conserve his stuff. And it's you're in your 6th season. You should know how to do that by now, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go on record and say that Larson's going to be the new driver of the 48.
What?
Larson to the 48.
I could see that happening, because here's the thing.
I doubt it happening, man.
I could see that happening. Because, yeah, go ahead.
I doubt it happening, As me as a 48 fan, I really think that Hendrick is going to retire that number after Jimmy retires and just bring back the 25 just for good measures.
So he's going to bring... Yeah, but even if he retires to 48, who's going to take over if not Larson? Noah Gragson?
Yeah, here's my take. I don't think he's retiring the 48. If Richard Childress brings back the number 3, when he could have easily given Austin Dillon the 33 or something, he's not gonna. Rick Hendrick's not retiring the 48. I don't think that's happening.
Oh, absolutely not.
I don't think that's happening. But I could see a scenario where Larson does replace Jimmy Johnson. Because here's the thing with Gragson, he's all right. Gregson's all right, but to me, he's like Cole Custer, where he needs a lot of time to develop. He's not like Custer and Gragson are actually very similar. In their first rookie seasons, they were very, very slow. It took them time for them to develop to become contenders. It's not like William Byron did, or Christopher Bell or Tyler Reddick, where they just started winning right out of the gate. I mean, think about it. In Cole Custer's first 2 seasons, he only got 2 wins per season, 1 win per season. Now this year, because he actually has the time to develop in the Xfinity Series, he's already here. He has the most wins in the series right now. I think the same is going to happen to Noah Gragson. I don't think Hendrick is going to risk putting Noah Gragson inside in the 48 unless there's really no one else. Because look what happened last year. You brought Alex Bowman, who has been in the Cup Series full time since 2015 until that point. You got William Byron, a rookie, who just got off his rookie season in the Xfinity Series. And you just have Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott, the only veterans. And even then, Chase Elliott hasn't won a race until that point. Jimmy Johnson was coming off, at that point, 2017, his worst season in his Cup Series career, which was obviously trumped by 2018. So it's like, I don't think Hendrick is going to make that same mistake again of putting another inexperienced driver. So I think I could see Larson going to the 48. And if Bowman doesn't start like becoming a multi-time winner, then I can see, because Gregson has switch. I can see a switch. Yeah, he has switch. So I could see where they put Gregson maybe in for Bowman in the future. I could see that happening.
Of course, with Nationwide leaving Bowman at the end of the year, I mean, that could come sooner than later.
Here's my take on it. I think that what's going to happen is I think Exalt is going to step up on the 88 because the 24 technically has a lot of sponsorship already covered. So I think they're going to step up on the 88, and you might see Mountain Dew start sponsoring more cars again.
And on top of that, because Byron already has Liberty University sponsoring him.
Exactly. Byron carries sponsorship with him. And since Byron started to finally perform well with Chad Canal, which is like at the same time, Byron didn't have a bad crew chief last year. He had Kevin Grubb or Darian Grubb, whatever his name was. I think it was Darian Grubb. He's a Cup Series champion. I mean, he won the championship with Tony Stewart in 2011. He wasn't a bad crew chief.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously, Chad Canals is obviously, if you have to choose between the two, you're going to go with Canals. It's obviously going to be a major step up.
Mastermind.
Yeah, Canals is it's genius. But it's his first crew chief, he wasn't bad either. So I think with Byron, I think we all know he was just rushed to the Cup Series. But yeah, go ahead.
And about William Byron, I'm seeing major improvements for his sophomore season.
Oh yeah, first career top 5 at Daytona. He probably would have won the race. Honest, he had a good shot to win if we would have went back green. I still see I think that he does still have a shot at winning. In fact, here's an early prediction. I'm going to say that William Byron gets his first career win at Watkins Glen. Because William Byron had 4 top 10, 0 wins, 0 top 5, 4 top 10. He had he had the worst or the second worst Cup Series rookie season for Hendrick. I think the only one who had it worse was Brian Vickers. I forgot what season. So William Byron's one of his only top 10 was a 6th place finish at Watkins Glen. At that point was his career best finish. So with the major improvements, the fact that he was consistently in the top 10 during that race, I could see William Byron getting it done at Watkins Glen. I don't think he's going to go out and dominate the race, maybe like Chase Elliott did, but I think he will be in the mix. And at the end of the day, I think he's going to come out on top at Watkins Glen. Now, those aren't obviously Watkins Glen for right now. We still got to go through our other predictions for the races this weekend. But there's my early Watkins Glen prediction.
Watkins Glen race, many mark on the calendar when we go there in next almost less than a month from now.
Yeah,
exactly. All right. So what else did we talk about IndyCar or F1 yet?
We're about to get into that. Let's talk about the Cup Series playoff standings for a moment.
All right, here. Let me get them. Unless you got them already.
I have them right in my hand.
All right. Let's give them a rundown.
And before you say anything, Joseph, I already know Johnson is 15 and is like
Right.
And you're
hanging on
crying
by
inside.
a thread.
And you're crying inside.
Thread.
And you're crying inside. I know, Danny.
All
I
right,
know,
so
man.
All right,
I
go
know,
ahead.
man.
Kyle Busch is leading the playoff standings. Regular season, he's in second with 4 wins. Truex Jr. With 4 wins. Keselowski with 3. Logano with 2. Hamlin with 2. Kurt Busch, Chase Elliott, and Alex Bowman with 1 win each. 3 drivers. I mean, 3 drivers with 1 win. 8 total locked into the playoffs. And then you look down the positions. Harvick, Almirola, 9th and 10th on the playoff standings. Harvick's 3rd in the regular season. Kevin Harvick is going to clinch his way into the playoffs. I'd say.
Probably good. Unless he falls off a cliff for these next 8 weeks.
He'll have to do a lot to fall off a cliff.
Oh boy.
Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Kyle Larson, 11th, 12th, 13th. So, Larson, who, as mentioned before, fell in a dip, is finding himself back up. And then you have Boyer, Johnson, Eric Jones. That's 14th, 15th, 16th. And then here are the drivers out from 17th to 20th. Ryan Newman, Daniel Suarez, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Paul Menard. If any of those 4 make it in, who is it?
Newman.
Or
Well,
Suarez.
Yeah, either Newman or Suarez, because Suarez has the pace. But it's just these last 2 weeks. It was like Sonoma and Daytona. Because before Sonoma, I think, he was like 13th in points. He was like 30 or 40-some points to the good. But he had 2 bad weeks. Same thing with Boyer. Like, they had 2 bad weeks. Well, Boyer's luck has been going downhill even worse. They just have bad weeks to where they're just dropping off the pace.
Yeah, man. And it's very concerning.
Or if you would, here's the thing. Also, another thing. I think I posted this on Twitter. If you would have told me that Ryan Newman and Kurt Busch would have better seasons at Ganassi and Roush than they did at Stewart Haas and RCR, I'd probably think you're on drugs. If you would have told me this last year.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, talk about, like, Kurt Busch, like, he's had a better, like, he's only lacking in poles and laps led, but, like, here he is, more top 5. He's only 1 top 5 away from matching his top 5 last year.
Oh boy. Yeah, I get. You're right. You really are.
Yeah, I did the math. Like, Kurt Busch is like, here, let me pull up the tweet, actually. Like, I mean, of course, I know we're talking about the playoff standings, but I'm talking about Kurt Busch. Well, then he won the race, so of course we're going to talk about Kurt Busch. But, I hate scrolling down. Okay, here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. In race 19 of 36, between 2018 and 2019. I'll read this 2018. 0 wins, 2 top 5s, 10 top 10s, 2 poles, 329 laps led, and average finish of third. Yeah, go ahead.
Didn't he win Bristol before the playoffs started?
Yeah, that was like that was after race 19. That was like race like 20 something.
Oh, okay.
Going after Kentucky.
Yeah.
For both years. So he had an average finish of 13.4 and was 7th in points. Now in 2019, 1 win, 5 top 5s, 11 top 10s, 80 laps led, 0 poles, and an average finish of 9.6 and is 7th in points. He has the second or third best average finish out of all the drivers this season. If there wasn't any stage points, Kurt Busch would be 3rd in the standings. The only thing that's holding it back is that he doesn't really get that many stage points.
Right.
Which then again, that's the only reason Blaney is even not even in the bubble consideration.
Right. You can score more points and finish higher than the
man.
driver below you.
And let's go to my driver now, man. Oh my God.
Danny's about to cry.
I need my prayers answered for just once. Please, please, please. Just one time when it comes to the 48 team. We were doing so good, right? And then all of a sudden, he hits the wall, and we end up finishing 30th. I'm glad we didn't have a DNF, because if we would have had a DNF, we would have been out of the picture, just like that.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm saying we're hanging on by a thread right now.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, at least he was running top 10 when the incident with Logano happened.
Yeah, I'll give him that. I'll give him that.
Yeah, at least he was running top 10.
And I'll take that. I'll take that for the whole day, but I just kind of feel conflicted again, Armani. I really am.
Oh yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, you go from winning the championship like 3 years ago to now being on your longest winless drought. It's like complete 180. It reminds me of Dale Earnhardt's like Dale Earnhardt when he won the championship in 1980. 1981, he didn't even win a race.
He also drove for an unstable team.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, then you can make the argument on if Hendrick was stable in 2018 too.
They're stable, all right.
Well, yeah, they were stable, but it's like, the speed was not there last year.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Battle of the Busch Brothers. Kyle Busch.
Man.
We talked about Kurt. Let's talk about Kyle for a moment. Two-time winner at Kentucky, led 72 laps and finished second.
I thought Eric Jones had. I thought Eric Jones had it. Like when Eric Jones went to the bottom on that restart, I thought Eric Jones had it in the bag. Like I really felt like Eric Jones was gonna.
And Kirk came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, Kirk came out of nowhere. Like
he came flying like a bat out of hell. I gotta give him that.
He did. Like where the hell did he come from? But yeah, I mean, like Kyle. I will give this thing about Kentucky. It seemed a lot like Richmond with a lot of comers and goers.
Well, it felt like Bristol earlier this year.
Well, yeah, obviously with the battle between the Busch Brothers, but I mean, like in the sense of comers and goers. Because think about it, like Hamlin, Stewart-Haas Racing, they were the strongest at the beginning of stage one, and then going into the nighttime, they fell off a cliff. And then you had Kyle Busch; he was the strongest in stage two, and then he started to fade off. And Logano, he wasn't really a factor until the nighttime really hit. So I'll give Kentucky that. Like, with this package, it's Kentucky. Well, the racing was still, I mean, the race wasn't even all that spectacular, in my opinion. It felt a lot like a Richmond race where you had a lot of comers and goers as the day and night transition.
No, that racing in Kentucky, to me, was the worst race of the year up until it transitioned into darkness. I don't see why Kentucky can't start in the night, start at 6, 7 o'clock in the evening.
Well,
I think that would be a lot better
7:30.
race.
Kentucky starts at 7:30. Because of daylight savings time, like nighttime doesn't come till like 8 or 9.
Now, I mean, if you start at 7, 8 o'clock, 8:30. I mean, start closer to darkness.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because it was still like bright as day.
Well, this might not go well. Move the race to either the playoffs past November, when there is daylight savings time, or before like March 15th or March 8th when daylight savings time ends. Then we get the race started at prime time in pitch black darkness.
Here's my idea. Get rid of Kentucky in general.
Here's what I'll say. Kentucky was an interesting race, and that's because me, like as a viewer, as a fan, I felt engaged with the green flag pit stops, engaged with the battles on track, and just engaged, with the action. And say what you want about the package, I'm not the biggest fan of it either. I will say. You get to see all kinds of comers and goers, like Tommy mentioned. That's your typical mile and a half racing, especially with the 2019 package. However, the inability to complete a pass is the negative side.
Well, yeah, because this package was like it was designed for closer racing, but not necessarily for passing. Because everyone said like, oh, passing has been better, passing has been better. Like they put like Atlanta as an example, or Las Vegas as an example. It was still possible to do it with the Gen 6 car.
Imagery.
Yeah, it's all imagery. It's like the package really did not. Like the package really did nothing in terms of like maybe like the saving grace of this package is nighttime conditions. If it's a nighttime condition, then the package is going to work. But if it's in the daytime, then it's just going to be more or less the same.
I don't know. Here's what I'll tell you. Closer racing versus the ability to have speed and complete passes and earn a lead, earn the gap of a lead. And I said this last, maybe it was a week or two ago, or actually it was you who said, big margins are frowned upon by fans in NASCAR, while it's applauded in IndyCar. It's frowned upon to the uttermost by the fans of NASCAR.
Yeah, it all has to do with how you market the sport. Like IndyCar, they don't really market it as close tight racing. Like beating and banging like NASCAR. They market it as the best drivers in the world race here. So when you see guys like Patterson, when you see guys like Rossi dominate, having like 20-second leads, you expect that because like, okay, these are the best drivers in the world. This is how they prove it. In NASCAR, it's marketed as beating and banging, like Robbins racing, like close side by side racing. So when these big leads happen,
and that's the analogy.
So when these big leads happen, when you guys winning by like 6-7 seconds, then yeah, of course fans are going to be like, okay, what the hell was that?
I mean, go back to the Xfinity race.
Yeah.
The other night, 5 drivers on the lead lap. You pretty much knew who was going to win that race.
Oh yeah.
Well, when it comes to marketing, NASCAR is synonymous to bump and runs, which is synonymous to Dale Earnhardt and what Dale Sr. brought to the track on a weekly basis, and Kyle Busch, aggressive racing. Fans don't want cars spread out with a margin of victory of like 9+ seconds. And it's funny. I find that funny because Formula One fans are starting to get antsy and upset about higher margins. And we'll get into that pretty soon once we talk, Britain.
Well, here's something else, with NASCAR. You've got Penske who's won. You've got Gibbs that's won. You now have Ganassi and Hendrick. I mean, you got those 4 teams. That's it. I mean, do y'all think it helps or hurts the sport? Well, you pretty much have a handful of teams that are pretty much capable of winning every single race.
Well, here's the thing that separates, like, I'm just going to use Formula 1 as an example. Here's the thing, with NASCAR, you really only have, like, say, like, maybe 5 teams that are definitely going to win. But you have those other teams that are or at least capable. If they sneak in a win, you won't be surprised. So let's say Austin, like, Rich Childress Racing. If they get a win, or Roush, or they get a win, like you're not going to be surprised. Like it's like okay,
Right.
yeah, it's like okay, it doesn't happen often, but it's like all right, cool. It's like you have those teams that at least have a chance. In Formula One, if you're not a Red Bull, a Ferrari, or Mercedes, you got unless the top six like completely wreck each other out, you got zero chance of winning the race, and that's just a fact.
Absolutely, bro. I think you hit the nail on the head right there, brother.
Yeah, so it's
Formula
like
One has a glass ceiling from separating the top 3 teams to the rest of the grid.
which we'll talk more about Formula One when we get to the British Grand Prix.
Exactly.
Should we talk about IndyCar now?
We'll talk IndyCar first if you want, or we can go into F1.
Well, I think we already kind of made the transition to F1, so we might as well talk about it.
Let's get into that. And by the way, for NASCAR, before we move on, next Cup race will be round 20 at New Hampshire.
We'll
next
give our
Sunday.
we'll give our picks to
Yeah, we'll talk about
Loudon
races.
later in the podcast.
All right, here's Formula One. Round 10 of the 21 race calendar brings us to Silverstone, the famed track in Great Britain for the British Grand Prix. Records broken, milestones reached for Lewis Hamilton, the hometown favorite, scoring career win number 80, his 80th career Grand Prix victory, his 7th of 2019. And with this win at Silverstone, he breaks Jim Clark and Alain Prost records and holds the most of all time. What's your take, guys?
If he didn't, it's because he didn't pit. I think if he would have pitted, then Bottas probably would have had a shot at the win. But because he didn't make that pit stop, obviously, and that's how we got like a 24-second lead.
He made the pit stop right as soon as the safety car was deployed.
Yeah, exactly.
Pure luck.
Oh yeah, exactly.
He played it right. I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like 90% of us picked, like, let me take a look at the World Racing Media picks for the British Grand Prix. 90% of us. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so me, Joseph, Danny, basically everyone on the panel today, and Justin picked Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
And then you got Josh who picked Bottas, Bottle Up Radio picked Chuck Leclerc, and Larry who picked Lando Norris. But yeah, like 5 or 6 of us picked Lewis Hamilton.
Because we had
So-
a gut feeling he was going to get that win.
Well, to be honest, I picked Lewis Hamilton because I already lost faith in this season. Austria was
Yeah.
a blessing.
Or
Yeah.
just, or
But
just
it's
the
like,
fact
okay,
that
back to
he's won,
reality.
like 5 other times.
He's just so dominant.
Yeah, exactly.
He's already have this championship locked in.
Well,
Which, by the way, does anyone know where Bottas 2.0 went?
Got no idea, brother.
Bottas 2.0. Are you talking about Nico Rosberg? Wait.
Oh,
Wasn't Bottas supposed to be the new Nico Rosberg? What the hell happened?
Well, here's the thing. The safety car for Giovinazzi changed everything in the race. And I'll tell you, this race in Britain was, I think that's the second best race of the Formula One season. One
Better than
below
Canada?
Austria.
I didn't get to see the race because I was doing something. But you think it was better than Canada?
Canada. I mean, Canada was a great race too. The controversy tainted
Yeah, that's true. It did
the
taint the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just was just keeping track on social media. I saw like Bottas was leading, and Lewis Hamilton, like they were basically side by side the entire all the way before the caution, before pit stops, and then the caution with Giovinazzi happened, and I saw Bottas was like behind Hamilton, but he was always within 1 to 2 seconds, And then Bottas made the pit stop, and then Hamilton just ran away with it from there. And I also know about here's another thing, which is actually because now that I think about it, I was gonna talk about it. F1 fans, in my opinion, are more biased than any other motorsports fan. Let me explain to you why. Lewis Hamilton has won, 7 races already this season? Something like that?
7.
Yeah, 7 out of the 10 races. Not once has he won Driver of the Day. Can someone explain to me why Charles Leclerc, who started 3rd and finished 3rd, was beat Lewis Hamilton for Driver of the Day when he started 2nd and had a better pit strategy? But no,
All right.
because explain that to me. I know Driver of the Day isn't
That's-
really like for
yeah.
winners,
It's
but
not
at the
about
same
the
time,
It's very puzzling.
Never was about the winner of the race, actually. Driver of the Day is usually awarded to the guy who has the most exciting passes, just brings the entertainment, and all the above.
So what you're saying is Hamilton dominating Silverstone was not entertaining enough
Let me.
to
Okay, well,
get
here's-
driver of the day
okay,
at all?
here's my thing.
Right.
I've seen the clips. Hamilton and Bottas, they were battling. It's not like Hamilton just drove away to like a 30-second lead on lap 1. No, he had to earn it. He had to like fight with Bottas for the lead, and they fought for a long
They
time.
won.
Oh yeah, they
It was a
did.
They were having a dogfight, exactly. And Hamilton got the better strategy. So you got the dogfight on top of with a better strategy. He actually made up a position. But no, because Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen were battling for about the same amount of time as Bottas and Hamilton. But Charles finishes where he starts. He gets driver of the day. Like, I know it's not about the winner, but if you win 7 out of 10 races and you still don't get the driver of the day award, there's a bias in there. I don't care what anyone said. There is a clear bias against Lewis Hamilton in F1. And that just shows it. And I used to hate Lewis Hamilton, but as of last year, I started to respect his passion for motorsport. I started to respect his greatness. And I eventually became a Lewis Hamilton fan.
Yeah, I
Because
think
I respect his. I'm like the kind of motorsports fan where if you dominate, yeah, it's not going to be. Yeah, I don't see it as good for the sport, but at the same time, I respect it.
I hope you realize this is Grand Prix racing. They're
Yeah,
not
exactly.
supposed to be neck and neck to the very
Yeah.
end.
Oh yeah, I understand that. It was like I respect, like I don't know, maybe it's like me being a little bit biased towards Lewis Hamilton. Even I'm not even that biased. When he goes to dominate the race more times than not, I'm like, oh great, Lewis Hamilton won. It was like at the same time, it's like, come on, if you know what driver of the day? I've seen like Lando Norris, Max Verstappen. He won driver of the day. Well, okay, Max Verstappen, he
Yeah, right.
deserved driver of the day in Austria.
It's,
He deserved driver of the day in Austria.
Yeah.
Like I will agree with that. But it's like, why does Bottas? Here's my great argument. Why does Bottas deserve driver of the day in Australia for leading all the laps and having a 20-second lead, but Lewis Hamilton can't get driver of the day for having to earn his win after a dogfight and a lucky yellow? Why can't he get driver of the day for that, but Bottas can get driver of the day for just completely annihilating the field in Australia?
That is a very great question. Hard to answer.
Because there's a bias, and I get it. It's driver of the day. It's supposed to be biased, but at the same time, it's like, really? That's like my whole point. It's like I don't think people respect Lewis Hamilton enough. It's like with Kyle Busch in that. Like just to go back to the NASCAR side a little bit. It's like with Kyle Busch. People don't respect the
They don't
great.
even acknowledge him.
Yeah, even with
Dude,
Jimmy
it's
Johnson.
the same
people
thing
only-
with Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. People are only acknowledging Johnson now because he isn't winning. Like once they start, like I guarantee you, like if because like you don't really see it in F1 where it's like I think the only time you see it is like with Michael Schumacher. But you don't really see drivers in F1 like stay until like their 40s and 50s. But I guarantee you, if Lewis Hamilton were to do that, I guarantee you he would fall off like Johnson
Exactly.
does, like Kyle Busch is going to do eventually. I guarantee you, if he did do that, people would start clamoring for him to win again.
Of course. That's any athlete. That's any sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't respect you until
They get tired of you. They stop respecting you.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, think about it. Jimmy Johnson, he used to be one of the most hated guys in NASCAR. Now people are clamoring for him just to get in the top 5.
Exactly, man. It's like all of a sudden y'all
going
want to
back
hate.
to-
Now y'all want to jump on a bandwagon.
Going back to the respect factor, with Kyle Busch, he's definitely the best wheelman in NASCAR. But would he be as good as he is if he wasn't dominating the Truck Series, if he wasn't dominating the Xfinity Series,
Oh,
and
yeah.
just pure driving the Cup Series?
Yeah.
I do think that Yeah, I will
think
agree.
the respect factor, the lack of respect for Kyle comes to the Xfinity Series. I will not watch a race in the Xfinity Series that Kyle is entered in because more than likely he's going to win the damn thing. Same thing with trucks.
Many fans agree.
Yeah.
I'm all for the Cup drivers going in and driving the lower tier series. I mean, especially with the Xfinity Series, but I mean, Kyle. Let's face it, Kyle wins everything.
Yeah, definitely. In my opinion on the whole Xfinity thing is, I don't like it because I want a NASCAR to have a developmental series. I want them to have a series where they could develop talent, like F1 does, like IndyCar does. So when
Yeah.
they get up to the Cup Series, they're not just going to perform like horrendous numbers. Like they're not going to have like, okay, yeah, he may have won the championship, but he won like maybe 1 or 2 races.
How good would it be to see a Ross Chastain or Justin Haley in the Xfinity Series be a Kyle Busch, be a Joey Logano on a consistent basis?
Well, that's why people value Colt Custer's Atlanta Auto Club win so highly, because he had to beat Kyle Busch to do it.
Yeah.
And you talk about Jimmy Johnson. When you go into between Earnhardt, Petty, and Jimmy Johnson, I mean, to me, this is going to be a popular opinion, but Petty's third on that list of top tier great drivers. I mean, look at the competition that Petty had compared to Earnhardt, compared to Jimmy Johnson. You could argue that Jimmy Johnson's 7 championships are far greater than Petty or even Earnhardt to a point.
I think out of all of them, the guys, like out of the 3 of them, I mean, I know we're deviating from F1. We'll get back on topic in a second, but
Right.
in terms of the 3 guys, the 3 7-time champions, I think the one who gets the lead, like the one whose championship is like, okay, that's well deserved, is Earnhardt's. Because think about it, with Petty, the argument is the era he was in. He had the best car always in the field. He was the only guy who could make
he was
all the
dominant
races.
in that era as well.
Yeah, and
The
then you go
schedules were way, way big. He didn't even have to run all the races to
yeah,
win the
exactly.
championship.
Well, yeah, that too.
I don't think any did.
Yeah, his era. Yeah, you go back to his era. You can say, oh, he had the best. It's like with Kyle Busch. It's like he has the best car. He had the best car. Like he was going to win no matter what. And with Johnson, it's the chase. The chase helped him out. They always say, oh, if he didn't win the chase, he'd only have 3 championships and not 7. But with Earnhardt, like everyone, because like you can't really argue against Earnhardt because it's like, yeah, he earned those champions. Like people say, like, yeah, Earnhardt earned those championships.
Exactly. And I, as a Johnson fan, I have to agree with you on that, man.
So like I found that interesting. Like considering how Earnhardt, in all honesty, like nowadays he's probably the most beloved driver in NASCAR history. But back when he was alive, He
Yeah.
was probably the most. He was the Kyle Busch of NASCAR back in the day.
Oh yeah. But that was even before Kyle Busch was even thought about.
Exactly. So people say Kyle Busch is the Dale Earnhardt of the modern era. I tend to agree with them because, like, yeah,
I see a lot of comparisons.
Cue the triggered fans in 3, 2, 1.
It's unbelievable. Just don't. The thing about social media is you got to block out the nonsense in the comment sections of posts like Kyle Busch wins. Everybody falls apart.
Yeah.
I let it happen. I like
I love
It's,
it.
it's funny though. It's funny.
I like them. I like to look at, people say something stupid. I like to look. It's like, no, like keep talking nonsense so everyone else can see how much of an idiot you are. I like that. I'm not a fan of censoring people. Number one, I want people to see how stupid some people can be. So it's like, okay, let me not do that.
That's like how I feel. Like when somebody like the people who still like hold the biggest grudge against Toyota just for existing in NASCAR, I look at them and like, get with the times. Come on, Hyundai. In fact, Hyundai, they're being rumored to join NASCAR. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm for it.
Hope.
I'd rather Honda join
Oh no,
NASCAR,
Hyundai.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'd rather have
I wouldn't mind Honda too.
now.
Don't get me wrong.
Honda.
Here's the deal with
Honda's
Honda,
not-
though.
Wait,
If
They're not
guys.
interested.
I know I've said this before, right? If Honda is gonna join NASCAR, please stay in the truck series because there's one vehicle that could be good for the truck series, and that will be the Honda Ridgeline. That's it.
Honda, like obviously Honda's gonna go in all three series. Like they're
I
not.
mentioned on Twitter today if Honda comes into the sport, look for Andretti Green to be the satellite team,
I doubt
to
it
be
will
the
be.
flagship team.
I doubt it will happen, man. I'm
Here's what
sorry.
I'll say. Here's what I'm gonna say. My thought, and this is interesting because I don't think you've seen this in NASCAR. The closest NASCAR has ever come to this was in the mid to late 1960s. In this case, Hyundai, the Korean brand, they come into the sport and they make a factory team like you see in LMP1 racing. Like the only one left is Toyota for LMP1. There used to be Audi,
And that's in
Peugeot,
Formula One.
Formula One. You have AMG, Mercedes, you have Renault, Ferrari. A factory team
Yeah.
in NASCAR would be great.
Yeah, I don't think we have we don't have factory teams in NASCAR.
No.
Maybe, yeah.
I said in the 60s, the closest
I
we
think
were.
you think the closest we have is Joe Gibbs Racing because they are backed by TRD.
Not
Whereas,
necessarily.
think about it. It's like all the drivers, they don't really sign with Gibbs. They sign with Toyota Racing Development.
Well,
and also,
yeah, go on.
I think, what's it called? Furniture Row was the same thing, right?
Well, no, Furniture Row was more of a Joe Gibbs thing.
Ah. So Barney Visser didn't have that backup
Toyota.
thing
Yeah,
with
they didn't have
TRD by themselves.
Well, the way I see it, Toyota seems to back up all of its teams. So, but I guess if you're talking about like specifically like Toyota putting all eggs in the basket, then I see that more. Maybe not even necessarily with Gibbs, but more of the drivers. Because in my opinion, Toyota needs. Yeah, I think if any manufacturer were to start, factory team, it's going to be Toyota. Because Toyota, they only have 5 full-time cars in the Cup Series.
Well, they used to have a great number of cars on the grid.
Oh yeah, with Michael Waltrip Racing.
And not just that, but single car too.
Oh yeah. But now they only have 5. So if there's any, I don't see why it's not TRD. Now as for Hyundai, I think that they're going to have to resort to a full factory team because I don't see any competitive teams. The only competitive teams that I might see try that is maybe Ganassi. Because we already know Hendrick is not going to switch to Chevrolet. Toyota and Gibbs are like a lock. Penske may be, but I don't see it happening with Penske.
Well, the thing is with Penske, they were with Ford before, and then Ford left, and then Dodge came in, and then Dodge left, and then they're back with Ford again.
Technically,
So-
Dodge didn't leave. Penske made the announcement to leave Dodge after 2012. Which funny because the driver won the championship, Brad Keselowski.
Yeah.
But in they Dodge didn't have any top teams left, so Penske, so Dodge decided to pull factory support, like all factory support from NASCAR,
And the zombie Dodges were born.
and
Or dead, I guess technically.
yeah, but what I'm trying to say is like Dodge left because they had no one left. They had no one. They had no one to work with.
Yeah. If anyone's going to go to Dodge, it's going to be either Ganassi. It's probably going to be Ganassi. That's the only team I can really see switch manufacturers. At least a team that's actually worth a damn. Because RCR, they're sticking with Chevrolet. Roush, I mean,
Roush and Ford are synonymous.
Roush is basically a Ford factory team, more or less.
And here's the thing too. Penske in supercars, they're running Ford Mustangs. The Ford Mustang is like Penske and the Ford Mustang are in a tight bond,
Right.
especially now more than ever, because in the factory shops, this is the only car out there besides crossovers and trucks, besides SUVs, and literally the only car that's being sold
Or
by
you.
Ford is the Mustang in the U.S. Now I don't know if that's the same in Australia, but I could tell you, Penske has even a bigger incentive to stay in this bond with Ford, and especially with supercars, because of their success that they're having. Their success matches with the car. They're not gonna change. Now, as for another team like Chip Ganassi Racing, they might be more open to switch manufacturers.
Yeah, because I mean, like Ganassi and IMSA, they're with Ford. Well, they used to be with Ford. Now, they used to be with Ford, and in IndyCar there was Honda, and after there was Chevrolet. So they're kind of all over the place when it comes to manufacturers. So that's why I think that if anyone's going to switch, it's going to be Ganassi.
Yeah. Now, about Ganassi, and it's funny because they basically backed by Ford in their team. They're pulling out. Ford pulled out, and the GT is no longer racing Le Mans. So
Yeah. So it's like, that's kind of sad.
okay, we gotta get back to F1 though.
Yeah.
Talk about.
Yeah, we completely deviated
You
from
completely
F1.
just went off topic.
All right, back on track.
Okay.
Formula One, round 10 at Britain.
What?
Can you put that rug down in Bevo's cage now that it's clean?
British Grand Prix,
Yeah.
Silverstone for round 10 of the 2019 World Championship. Let's talk about we mentioned Lewis Hamilton in
Right.
his 80th win, his 80th win, 7th of the season, and record breaking at Silverstone. But we haven't talked about the controversy, Rich Energy, and Haas, and just Haas in general. This whole weekend is nothing but plainly a train wreck of a race weekend.
Oh yeah, it's been in both
Oh, yeah.
cars
It's
DNF.
definitely a train wreck for sure.
Well, we haven't even gotten to the race yet, and that is even crazier. But Rich Energy, I think it was a tweet. I believe it was a tweet. One of their members posted saying they're no longer working with Gene Haas and their F1 program before the race weekend even starts. After a questionable, they put themselves in a questionable position on Twitter, and that's when all the memes came and everything follows. And then in FP1, we got to talk about FP1. Romain Grosjean crashes at pit exit, and not to mention had other incidents on the racetrack. In FP1 and I think practice 2 as well. Grosjean scores a grand total of 2 points in these last 10 races.
Grosjean's got to go. I'm at the point now where Grosjean has to go. Like, come on, you're what, 17th in points? You're behind both Force India cars. You're only 1 point ahead of Giovinazzi. And an Alfa Romeo, granted, they've got more funding now, but it's still Sauber.
Giovinazzi only has 1 point, by the way.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's very
Grosjean,
unfortunate in a way.
He's behind both McLarens, both Toro Rossos, both Racing Points. He's only ahead of 2 Williams and Giovinazzi. And honestly, I can see Giovinazzi. Passing him in points. Because Giovinazzi's been doing better in qualifying.
As for race results, though, they are pretty similar to Romain Grosjean. This is even crazier. Of the 10 races completed, half of them are retirements. Half of them. We're halfway through the season, and halfway of those races is a DNF.
Sheesh.
No, that's a big problem.
It's like Daniel Ricciardo last year with the DNFs and Alonso. Well,
Oh,
Alonso, Hulkenberg, and Ricciardo. Like, those 3 were like the most DNFs last season. Yet Hulkenberg still managed to get best of the rest last year.
Right.
I don't know how.
Now, as for Magnussen, it's not like he's that much better either. I like and respect him. There's a long way left in his career. But Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean, the contact they had in lap 1 was completely unnecessary. At the same time, they deserve it. The whole team does.
Yeah, that was a horrible week for Haas. And here's the
last 2 spots.
I never reported.
I guess you
Like
could.
on World Racing-
Would you say it was like more of a disappointment?
I'm not surprised, to be honest. They were questionable before the race weekend even started.
All right. Before I make my point, I just want to say Thomas lost signal, so he'll be back on shortly. You just got to get that fixed out. But
Okay.
I want to touch in the Haas weekend. The reason I never report, as soon as that Haas tweet was that whole Rich Energy tweet was released, it just made. Oh, there we go. Now he's back. But once that Rich Energy tweet was released about how they were going to terminate their contract with Haas.
Yeah.
I didn't report it because it just sounds too ridiculous to be true. Because it's I'm pretty Haas knows. I'm pretty sure Haas isn't stupid enough to know that they're not going to be Red Bull.
If it detects alcohol, it won't
So-
run.
And here's what I'll tell you. Armani, sorry to interrupt. But I
go
must mention that the Rich Energy tweet, and it's almost like a child put that together.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and then it came out that it was fake, and now there's this other tweet coming out. The way I see it, I'll report on it when I see the logos and the paint scheme completely change. When the Rich Energy logos are removed from the cards, then I'll report it. Because last time I tried reporting something like that without really, even with Fernando Alonso and the McLaren controversy, NBC was reporting and Motorsports.com was reporting, and yet Fernando Alonso and McLaren, they both denied it. So it was fake. So I wasn't going to make that same mistake again with this Rich Energy Haas controversy. But yeah, this week was just, this is a weekend Haas wants to forget.
Yeah, indeed.
All right, so
Let's
anything else?
Let's. Oh, so yeah, we gotta mention the contact in the race, and let's get back into the actual race itself. Vettel and Verstappen collide late in the race, putting Sebastian Vettel out of contention, a penalty, and a 16th place finish.
So he's out of championship contention now?
Almost, pretty much, but he's fourth in points. Verstappen. So let's talk about the incident. They were heading into Stowe. They were going to Stowe corner. These two battled it out. They battle as per usual, and I'd say a block from Verstappen results in a major lockup in the brakes by Vettel and contact.
Vettel, that's also another weekend of Vettel. I don't know what's going on with Vettel. It's like ever since Italy of last season, he's made so many mistakes. Like he wasn't making these mistakes before, and now ever since Italy last season, he had like 5 spins at the last half of the season last year.
It's
This
like
season,
what happened?
You know who's? We'll get into IndyCar later, but you know who it's reminding me of? It's reminding me of Will Power's season this year. It's like they just fallen off a cliff. Like what's going on?
Yeah.
Like it's something with the driver. Like I don't know what it is.
Driver,
I don't know what's going
team,
on.
all the above.
Well, even Charles isn't making as many mistakes as Vettel is, and Charles is only in the sophomore F1 season. He's making way less mistakes than Vettel. I got the point standings on right now. Charles is only 3 points away from Vettel. Vettel's 100 back. Leclerc's 103 back. Like here, I'll just read off the top 10 point standings since I'm talking about it. Hamilton is first. Bottas 39 back. Verstappen 87 back. Then, as I just mentioned before, with Vettel and Leclerc, they're 100 and 103 back. Gasly 168. Sainz, best of the rest, 185. Raikkonen 198. And then Lando and Ricciardo are tied for 9th and 10th with 201. But yeah, it's like these mistakes that Vettel making are costing him. I would not be surprised if Vettel finishes 5th in points behind Leclerc.
Yeah.
Vettel's got to do something where he's got to stop making these mistakes. But it's like
Chemistry's bad right now.
Yeah, it's like what's going on?
Chemistry.
Maybe him and the new team principal Ferrari just don't have the same chemistry.
The team principal, I find very shady, and here's the thing though, like Vettel and Leclerc are right now 4th and 5th in the championship standings.
That team principal, oh boy.
4th and
Stay
5th.
with me, Danny.
Team
orders.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it calls for, man.
But haven't we come to a point where we're tired of it?
Well, yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, at the end of the day, it's harming both drivers. It's not like Vettel's not even improving from it. Like both drivers are suffering from it because the strategy is so bad from the team, and because they want to still market Vettel as the 4-time champion that he is, they use team orders against Leclerc so Vettel can be ahead of them because they're like, hey, it wouldn't look good if our 4-time champion is getting beat by this sophomore.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: they did it's the exact same protocol with Kimi Räikkönen when he drove Leclerc's car. Let's be real though. Leclerc had speed. He's fastest in FP2. A favorite for the pole, which did not come to fruition. Charles Leclerc is going to get that first win. As long as Ferrari.
Here's
go on.
Here's my sorry to interrupt you, but here's my, I guess, like, big F1 prediction. Ferrari will have one win in 2019, and that'll be from Leclerc. Sebastian Vettel will go winless for the second time in 4 years.
Sebastian Vettel is on track to go winless. I mean, say what you want about Canada. Rules are the rules.
Yeah.
Didn't go his way. It sucks. I know. We're heading towards Hockenheim, which I don't think he has any wins there.
I mean, he dominated the race last year, but, like, that was really where his mistakes began. Yeah, that's where his mistakes began.
I'd say Hockenheim last year was when the championship, when they decided the championship, that was it.
Oh yeah,
It works in Hockenheim.
He couldn't recover.
Let's move on and talk about points and points paying positions from the British Grand Prix.
Yeah, the top 10.
Yeah, so the top 10, of course, Lewis Hamilton scores the win, and he has the fastest lap extra point to his name. Valtteri Bottas, second place after the pole. Charles Leclerc, third, 30 seconds behind Pierre Gasly and Max Verstappen. That's your top 5. So, yeah, Pierre Gasly, career best finish of 4th.
Pierre Gasly actually showed up to the table today. He actually wasn't like, he was actually competing. He out-qualified Vettel, and he was like running top 5 all day. So I'll give credit where credit's due. I've been very, very hard on Gasly this season, but I'll give credit where credit's due. He had a decent shot at a podium today. Or not, I don't know what I'm saying today. Yesterday.
Also, Gasly and when's the breakthrough? When will that happen? I'm still trying to wait. And his results before this, the last the 3 races prior, actually 4, 7th at Austria, 10th in France, so literally 1 point in France, 8th in Canada, 5th at Monaco. So before this, Monaco was his best finish, and then he had a 6th at Spain, retired at Azerbaijan, 6th in Shanghai, 8th in Bahrain, and 11th in Australia.
Well, hopefully this starts Gasly actually making some improvement, because Gasly's in a major hole right now.
Yeah, he really is.
So hopefully Gasly can finally put something together. Because, I mean, like, he's 55. He only has 55 points to his name right now this season. So hopefully Gasly this is the start of Gasly actually being able to run up front where the equipment is supposed to be.
Yes.
All right, and let's talk further from the finishing results of the British Grand Prix. So, Carlos Sainz gets 6th in the McLaren. Then you have Daniel Ricciardo, started 7th, finished 7th in the Renault. Kimi Räikkönen, 8th. Danny Kvyat, 9th. And the final points paying position of Nico Hülkenberg, 10th. Lando Norris misses out on the points, finishes 11th. And then here's where it gets interesting. George Russell, Robert Kubica each get their best finishes in the Williams of the season. despite no points being scored, 13th and 14th. So well done for them.
Good for them.
Yeah.
All right.
Here's an interesting thing
Yeah.
about. I'm looking at the F1 app. Leclerc has more podiums than Vettel this season. This season, he has 5 podiums as opposed to Vettel's 4.
It's Billy much.
But it's like the fact that it's like just 5 podiums for Leclerc at this point. You wouldn't be surprised. It's not that Leclerc is performing about where expected, but Vettel is just dropped like a rock.
Let's just
Hopefully
scroll.
Vettel can get it together, but he needs to stop making mistakes. If he can stop making mistakes and actually put some races together, then I think we could see him. I would not be surprised if Vettel wins this season. Even though my prediction, and I just said that Vettel's going to go winless for the second time in 4 years, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sebastian Vettel win. But he needs to stop making mistakes.
Exactly. He needs to stop making mistakes. The team needs to as well. But also, I think he needs motivation. Motivation is key. And I know it's not F1 related, but Tommy and I, we talked about Ross Chastain in 2019 as a whole in NASCAR. He's racing off adrenaline. I do not see this with Vettel. I don't see any adrenaline rush coming from the
I was watching an
World Champ.
Autosport video like a couple months ago. I was watching an Autosport video a couple months ago where it was basically saying where Vettel, he feels like he needs to like live up to Schumacher. He needs to live up to the legacy of Michael Schumacher. Like he's in a Ferrari, so this is what they said. They think that Vettel thinks that I'm in a Ferrari, like I need to live up to like the expectations of like Michael Schumacher. So he thinks that they think that he's putting all this pressure on himself, and that's why he's making these mistakes.
And also, you go from winning 4 championships in a row, you switch over to Ferrari, and you're now under a major microscope. You're under a microscope. Right as soon as you enter Maranello.
Oh yeah, you're in F1's most popular team.
With the highest expectations.
Yeah.
Of course. So are we done talking about F1? You want to move on to IndyCar?
Let's see. By the way, F1, the next race is the German Grand Prix. That's in 2 weekends' time for round 11. Oh, let's talk about constructors for a moment.
Come on, man.
I'm just giving you a rundown a moment. Mercedes, 407 points. Ferrari, 243 points. Then Red Bull with 191. McLaren Renault with 60. Renault, the factory team, has 39 points. Alfa Romeo, Ferrari with 26. Racing Point has 19 points, tied with Toro Rosso. Haas with 16 at Williams, 0.
Oops.
Mm-hmm.
As Justin would say, nothing.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, let's move on.
To IndyCar in Toronto.
So I almost said Sebastian Bourdais. Simon Pagenaud, the month of May king of this season, gets his 3rd win of the season in the streets of Toronto. I said this I think I said this on Twitter. It's kind of it's like Will Power and Simon Pagenaud kind of just switched seasons. Pagenaud had a horrible 2018 season where Will Power had a great 2018 season.
Yeah.
And now it's just reversed.
And honestly, if it wasn't for willpower to bring out the yellow on the final lap, Scott Dixon would have had a chance to catch Pagano and maybe go for the win. But unfortunately, that's out of anyone's control, and Pagano gets his third win of the season.
It's their win indeed, and his first in Toronto. And how fitting he wins on Bastille Day.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Bastille Day.
and Pagano is driving. He's not the first person that comes to the general fan's mind when you think of a Penske IndyCar driver. It's usually Power, Newgarden. And even then, Pagano, 2016 champion. It's like he was king of the road courses 3 years ago. And then he just excelled.
Yeah, I mean, 2017, he got like either 2 or 3 wins. 2018, as we're seeing, 2018 seems to be more of an off year than anything. Like Pagano hasn't lost his groove. I mean, it showed. It showed yesterday.
Yeah, and I think that the Indy 500 placed Pagano on a greater pedestal for success, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. Being put on a pedestal, usually that's in a bad context, but Pagano, he's in this title hunt, and that's his third win of the season, tying his teammate Newgarden with most so far. And I think that if he keeps it up in Iowa might be a test for Pagano. Say what you will. Because Newgarden is a former winner there,
Right.
and he drove for Ed Carpenter. So I think that's going to set the stage. But back to Toronto, and Pagano knows how to execute. The team of the 22 car, they plan everything out right, and they never fail. Okay, someone's got to end this awkward silence.
Oh no, you were just talking. I thought you were going to continue.
Okay. All right. Let's also talk about the race. Weekend of misery for Will Power.
This has been a horrible season for Will Power. Look, goes back to Vettel. He's just making a lot of mistakes. How many times has Will Power crashed this season? If you would have told me last year that the next season Will Power would go from like being like arguably the second best driver in IndyCar right now, arguably the best, to just constant crashes, I probably think you're on drugs again.
All right.
Like,
Now,
what's going on?
Here's the thing.
Wait, what?
Saying what's going on, Will Power? Like, what's like? He's just like.
Yeah,
It's just
something
been like.
is really off.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what's going
Not
on with Will
entirely
Power.
off, however, there's 2 poles that Will Power claimed this year, and led the most laps in Austin.
Yeah, but ever since then, where's he been?
Okay, so
I mean, like I think the last 3 races, he hasn't even qualified inside the top 10.
right,
Will
and that,
Power, the
yeah,
guy who's arguably the best qualifier in the field.
now Will Power is currently 5th in the points, and because of his inconsistency, there's now a bubble separating the top 4 from the rest of the field in the point standings. And here, I'll read the standings in a moment. But when we came to Toronto and the race started, he made an audacious move to go 3 wide. Something usually executed towards the end of the race. And collected Simon Page. Wait, no. No, he collected
Graham Ray Hall,
Graham Ray
Ryan
Hall,
Ray, Mark
Hunter Ray.
Andretti.
Hunter Ray, yeah, Andretti. And I think Sage Karam. But
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, Sage Karam. Just unstable. Very unstable in qualifying. But he's still in 5th in points.
I mean, he's having a better season than Pagano did last year, but it's like even Pagano wasn't wrecking all this, like making all these mistakes. Pagano was just didn't have speed. Like Will Power, he's just making so many mistakes.
Right.
Which, if we look at the point standings, like you say, here, I'll read them off because I got them too. So Newgarden is the points leader. He has a 4-point lead over Rossi, which it looks like is going to be a dogfight between the two of them. Pagano is 39 back. Dixon is 89 back. And then, like you said, the gap begins. Will Power is 128 back. So 89, 128, you do the math there. Sato is 133 back. Ryan Hunter-Reay is 149 back. Ray Hall is 168. Hinch, 190. Rosenquist, 10th, 195. Which, I just want to say something. Sato, Sato, he's out of the championship, huh?
At this point, yes.
Like he had a good run. There was a point this season where we thought that he could that he could make a run at the championship, but he's kind of just falling off a rock. Well, not really falling. But yeah, he's kind of like falling off a rock. Like he stopped. Like that winning pace just isn't there.
As for 2019, yes. But yeah, I think Newgarden, and I know there's a lot of inconsistency among the top 5 drivers in the points, but really only 2 runs outside the top 10 for Joseph Newgarden. Just realized every race he's finished except for the Indy 500 and race 2 at Detroit is inside the top 5. Literally.
Yeah, I mean Newgarden, he's been one of the more consistent drivers. Like I said, I think Rossi's obviously you got his wins at Long Beach and Road America as an example. Like Rossi's just been outright dominant.
It's not just the dominance that puts Rossi in this position. After his his 22nd place. His 22nd place at the Indy Grand Prix. 2 second place finishes in a row. In the Indy 500, race 1 at Detroit, 5th at race 2, and then 2nd, 1st, and 3rd. So after the Indy Grand Prix, every race but 1,
he's on the podium.
finish. And as for Pagano, he's coming along. Yeah, go on.
Pagano seems to be having a mix of a Will Power and a Newgarden 22. Because last season, Newgarden's only podiums were his wins. So Phoenix, Barber, and Road America. Which when I heard that statistic, I was honestly shocked. I thought he had more podiums than that. And like Will Power, he swept the month of May. Then he kind of cooled off, and then he had that one race where he still kept himself at the championship hunt. But Rossi, he's performing like he did last year, but he's minimizing the mistakes, which is good. because that's what he needs to do if he wants to win this championship. I mean, I'm
Yes.
looking at Rossi's stats for this year: 11 starts, 2 wins, 2 poles, 9 top fives, 10 top tens.
That's
So,
impressive.
yeah, I think he and Newgarden are like the same.
Almost.
Well,
And-
no, he's got one more top 10 than Newgarden, and one more pole.
How about
But yeah, like Newgarden and Rossi, they're basically neck and neck.
Yeah.
Which I want Rossi to win a championship because Rossi's turned into one of my favorite drivers. So, bias being wants Rossi to win, but like I really hope that this championship battle goes wire to wire when we get to Laguna Seca.
no reason why this one shouldn't. The thing about these two drivers is that they're neck and neck, which is true. But they shine literally at the same. They shine simultaneously, and when we go to Iowa this weekend, when they head over there, Rossi is presumably the favor because not only does Andretti, his team, have 7 wins at this track, they won 6 in a row from 2010 to 2015. 6 consecutive wins.
My goodness. Yeah, I mean, like, you look at the tracks coming up. There's Iowa, which favors Newgarden, but there's no reason why Rossi wouldn't be good there. Then you got Mid Ohio. Rossi dominated last year. Pocono, right? Rossi dominated last year. Gateway, Rossi finished second. Like, there's no reason why Rossi shouldn't. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if coming out of Mid Ohio, Rossi has the points lead.
And he should. Rossi has what it takes, but it's like the thing is we know his potential, and it's funny because he's also in the talks for the offseason when his contract expires. Rossi will be a free agent after 2019. Does he stay with Andretti, or could there be a better car, a better team for him to go?
I don't see why he would leave Andretti. Why would you leave the team where you're winning by over 20 seconds on the field?
Funny to say, but there's always room for better to go from strength to strength. You don't have to settle. There's no reason for anybody to settle at a team, even when they're succeeding. I do think, funny to say, I believe there's a spot in Chip Ganassi Racing for Alexander Rossi 2020. Here's why. They're a 2-car team. It's Felix Rosenqvist, a Swedish hotshot rookie, and then you have the veteran 5-time champion Scott Dixon, who's showing no signs of declining.
Right.
Add Rossi and making a trio of a team as a whole, this could benefit Ganassi.
You're looking at a powerhouse team right there.
And Rossi himself.
Yeah.
I don't think Ganassi is going to go to 3 cars. I mean, he already tried 4 cars for a few years, and look how that turned out. Ganassi's always been a 2-car operation. I think he's going to stay that way for a while.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
I mean, look at their success when they had Dario Franchitti on the team. They were unstoppable at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Dario, I think he got him 3 championships.
Yeah.
20,
Dario and Dixon.
In 2011. Yeah. they can handle 2-star drivers simultaneously.
So yeah, no problem about it.
Any other team Rossi can head on over?
I mean, there's the rumor of Penske. I could see Penske happening. I mean, I don't see why they. I could see them going to 4 cars for Rossi. But I think Rossi's going to stay at Andretti, and I honestly think that's the best option for him. Because you're about to beat a Penske. Like you're competing against Penske in the championship.
Yeah,
So if you already got the car to do it, why would you switch? Like the only thing you're really going to cause is like, you basically have to start from square one in terms of chemistry.
and that remains within himself. Is Rossi going to be open for that change of chemistry? Clearly, with Sebastian Vettel in Formula One, when he left from Red Bull to Ferrari, it's not going well. The chemistry.
Oh yeah.
But every now and then, you see signs of potential. And I'm talking about Vettel in Ferrari.
Yeah.
They just can't execute for some reason. As for Rossi, and Rossi started as a Formula One developmental driver. He was under Marussia, or Manor, technically. A former team filled with adversity, tragedy, and just downright non-success. When he joined IndyCar in 2016, I was like, oh, nice. I guess he'll race F1 next year. Then the Indy 500 happened. A fuselage Cinderella story. I didn't necessarily think Rossi would have that talent yet. Fast forward to 2019. He's got everything to his ability. I think he could stay with Andretti, but if he stays with Andretti, he's going to carry 3 other cars off his own wings.
Well, I mean, it's worked for him. It's been worked for him so far. And plus, I don't think Andretti is going to let Rossi go. Because think about this. Hunter Ray has been non-existent this season. And
There's no way Andretti's gonna let Rossi go like that. He's too good of a driver. I mean, look where they're at right now.
yeah, I mean, like I said, like Hunter Ray's been non-existent this season, unfortunately. And obviously, Zach Veach and Marco Andretti, they underperform.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think Andretti is going to like let basically clearly the best driver on his team just walk away like that. Especially when like here, I mean, I'm looking at the point standings right now. Right now, Rossi's the only Andretti in the top 5. 2 Andretti's in the top 10, Hunter Ray in 7th. Marco Andretti is just barely in the top 15. He's 15th in the standings, and Veach is 18th. With Mateus Lace as the lowest scoring full-time driver in 20th.
I think it's hard to tell.
I don't see it happening. I think Ross is going to stay with Andretti. Especially if he wins the championship this season, he's definitely not leaving. Or, it can only be like Tyler Reddick in 2018, where he wins the championship and he jumps ship.
But look where Tyler Reddick's now at. He's unbelievably good.
Oh, yeah, that's true. All right, so I think we're done talking about IndyCar, so let's move on to the races coming up this week, and let's give our picks.
Are you sure? We got some other
Yeah.
stuff. I have others written down here.
Oh, what do you got?
Yeah. There's like that and some miscellaneous events, but let's talk about Arco real quick. I think we mentioned Elko.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Round 13 of 20. Chandler Smith scores his 5th career win. Only 17 years of age. Turned 17 less than a month ago. And his 3rd of 2019. Obviously not in the title hunt. And here's the top 5 in ARCA standings. Pretty much these 5 drivers will have a chance at the championship. And the points have been close this year. You have Michael Self with a 35-point lead over Brett Holmes. Travis Braden is 60 points behind in 3rd. Christian Eckes is 85 points behind. Joe Graff Jr. minus 205. Graff will need some Hail Marys to stay in contention. The next race, we have Iowa. They're in the same weekend with IndyCar.
It's an IndyCar NASCAR doubleheader.
So there's that. Slinger Nationals. Yeah, let's talk about Slinger. In Wisconsin, 2003 Winston Cup champion Matt Kenseth passed Ty Majeski on the final lap, leading only the most important one, crossing the line and taking his 3rd Slinger National victory. And here's some notables. Rich Bickle, 6th. Daniel Hemrick, 9th. Derek Kraus, 13th. Bubba Pollard, 20th. Johnny Sauter, 23rd. Steven Nash, 24th. And Chandler Smith, dead last, 26th.
Damn. He went from going dead last in the Slingers to winning ARCA.
Let's talk about Rich Bickle for a second. This is a NASCAR driver who has not raced in the Cup Series since 2001. Only 3 top 10s. I'd say a very seasoned driver back in the Winston Cup days. Had an emotional 4th place finish at Martinsville, 1999. Actually, 1998, that is. 3 Truck Series wins in the Craftsman Trucks season 1997. And he's, 58 years old. So give the guy credit. And like Kenseth, he is a Wisconsin native himself. So is Derek Kraus. So there you have that. Kenseth showing no signs of lack of talent.
Well, I mean, we all know the reason Kenseth's not in the seat anymore.
All right. I think we got everything covered. Let's talk about upcoming.
So let's talk about the upcoming weekend, and we'll give our picks. I know Xfinity and Cup are at Loudon. I don't know what other series are going to be in Loudon. I don't know what other series.
We got
What do you
IndyCar
guys
at Iowa, ARCA at Iowa, Enzo WeatherTech Sports Car Championship headed in New England, in Lime Rock, and what else do we have? Spa 24 hours. That's 2 weeks time. Motocross at Spring Creek. I'm thinking, is there a VLN race? No, that was this weekend. Blancpain? No, they don't race yet. Let's talk about Loudon.
All right. So, who are your guys' picks for Loudon?
I'm going to have to go with Stuart Haas and Harvick. They cannot stay winless forever.
I honestly gotta agree with you, brother. But You know what? You know what name I'm gonna go towards? Hamlin.
Jimmy Johnson. Oh,
Hamlin.
Hamlin.
Absolutely. Denny Hamlin, a 3-time
We
winner.
haven't talked about him lately
Yeah, we
since he
haven't
won
talked about him really
Daytona in Texas.
ever since he won Texas. He's kind of been quiet.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin at New Hampshire. There'll be threats. That 11 team, and especially just Denny, the driver himself. I remember in 2007, Denny and Jeff Gordon at a finish. They were duking it out towards the end. And then 10
Who's your
years
pick?
later, Denny Hamlin wins again.
Yeah, me too.
So, Joseph, who's your pick?
Though Hamlin might be a favorite, and I'm going to agree with Tommy here. Kevin Harvick will win this race again, just like last year.
All right, so I'll give you guys my pick since I'm the last one. Stewart Haas Racing is having a very JGR 2017 type of season. They've been winless so far. They haven't accustomed to the new Mustang. They haven't even really accustomed to the new aero package. And remember, 2016 and 2017, we had a difference in the aero package. The spoilers
Yeah.
got smaller. I believe the splitters even got smaller. So there's that. And similar to 2019, the teams haven't adjusted. I think the Stewart Racing will get their first win of 2019 at Loudon. However, everyone, just like in 2017, how JGR got their first win of the season at Loudon. But who did everyone think was going to get that first win of the season for JGR? They thought it was going to be Kyle Busch. Nope, it was Denny Hamlin, the
Yeah.
second best driver at JGR. So, while Kevin Harvick, I do think he will win this season. I think it's going to be the second best driver at SHR right now. Eric Almirola gets the first win for Stewart Haas Racing of 2019 and his first win of the season.
I think yeah. Eric Almirola will get that win. I can see it happening, but Kevin Harvick's experience will place him in victory lane for the third time in his career.
Can he do it?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. All right, so let's move on to the Xfinity race at Loudon. Who do you guys got?
Christopher Bell.
You're going with the wild one there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, on the truck race in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to feel satisfied when I said that.
Are you?
Yes, he won it. He won it. And then he won the 2018 Xfinity race, holding off Brad Keselowski in the Lakes Region 200. Joe Gibbs Racing won the last 4 races at Loudon. Bell, and then, of course, the Cup veterans, Kyle Busch, 2017, 2016, then Hamlin, 2015. Bell's going to win again.
Yeah.
So you guys, who the rest of you got?
I'm going to have
yeah,
to
you
go
got-
Justin Allgaier.
He was actually my pick for Kentucky, and it almost worked. All right, well here's my pick. He's been one of the most consistent rookies this season. Probably the quietest rookie this season. Hasn't really made a lot of flashes. Obviously, you got Gray. They've been talking about Gregson. They've been talking about Briscoe. Hell, they've been talking about Haley. But I think this guy is going to get the first win of the rookie class this season. John Hunter Nemechek. He's going to get his third top 5, his 11th top 10. Most importantly, his first win of the season, his second career win at New Hampshire.
I think that's agreeable. You know, John Nemechek seems pretty quiet this year. And
Well, he
Jamie
does
Fra-
that. I mean, like, he's a quiet driver.
Yeah,
Like,
he
he
is.
doesn't do a lot of flashy things. He kind of does what he has to do, and then that's it.
He kind of reminds me a lot of Truex, as far as how quiet Truex is and how he just kind of comes up through the field and does his thing. Now,
Yeah,
granted,
exactly.
Nemechek doesn't have the win, but
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Nemechek will prevail sooner or later. I just don't know, like when. Can't rely on Daytona anymore. Can't rely on Talladega anymore. Those races are done.
Yep, now you got to go out and earn it.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to IndyCar. Who do you guys got for IndyCar?
For IndyCar, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna give it a little indecisive. I feel like I'm talking to the waiter at Sonic or Dairy Queen. While Ryan Hunter-Reay has 3 wins in the Iowa Corn 300, Joseph Newgarden will score his second victory at this track.
All right. And what about the rest of you guys? Who do you guys got? As I proceed to yawn myself.
I'm gonna go with Dixon again.
You're just gonna keep picking Dixon until it happens.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Oh,
just give up on Dixon like that, man. He's my guy.
oh, it's gonna happen eventually.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Colton Herta will score his first win.
Well, second win. Technically, his
Second
first win
win,
at
yeah.
Iowa. Yeah, remember he won at Circuit of the Americas.
Right.
So, speaking of wins, going off on a limb, I guess this is technically all my picks today have been going off on a limb.
We haven't even got to IMSA Lime Rock yet, but
Yeah. All right, so this driver, he hasn't really done remarkable things. You know, he's really just been there. He's been one of those drivers that are just there. However, he did have his career race at this race last season, and he finished on the podium after actually a decent amount of people were questioning what's going on with him. So he performed, like I said before, the best race. He finished second last year in Ed Carpenter Racing Equipment. He's going to move that up to the top step of the podium. Spencer Pigot will get his first career win at Iowa.
I see it. I really do.
Or can
And
Marco
that's my
Andretti get his third win?
Okay, there's going off on a limb, and then there's just living in La La Land.
Okay, well, at least Marco Andretti won a race at Iowa.
Yeah.
I like Marco. I really do like Marco, but it's like I don't see him winning.
So does the whole world. They all love him. But he's
a likable guy.
Of course. He's the grandson of Mario freaking Andretti.
Even then, he's just a likable guy. I mean, IndyCar, there's no IndyCar drivers that I genuinely don't like. Either I like them or they're just there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Let's see. What else do we have? We got IMSA and AMA Motocross. We'll start with IMSA.
Yeah, let's give our picks for IMSA. So, I guess I'll start off. So, you know how all my picks have been out on a limb?
Mm-hmm.
Define this as a limb if you want to, but that ends now. Acura Team Penske, the number 7. Elio's finally going to get his first win of the season. Please do it, Elio.
Okay, timeout. Prototypes are sitting out from this race.
Oh,
No.
wait, what?
No LMP2s. They have
Oh.
weekend off.
That's what happens when you don't pay attention to IMSA as much as you do the other series. Okay, well,
Two GT classes are racing.
Right.
wait, which classes?
GTLM, GT Daytona.
Oh, now I actually got to think. Who races in those classes? Shit.
Oh man.
All right, you guys give your picks. I'm gonna do some research.
Well, for GTLM, I'm gonna go with the points leading Porsche.
Yeah, me too.
It's not a big margin. They're just on a roll. They have the best drivers with the most enthusiasm. Just thinking Patrick Pele, Nick Tandy, and Frederick Makowicki. All I hear in response is dominance, is motivation. They have motivation. As for the GTD class, my pick will be the number 12 Lexus. I think they'll win. If they can't find the victory, my pick's going to be the number 86 Acura from Irish Shank Racing.
I'm going to have to agree.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, my pick, I got the Meyer Shank 86 for the win. As for GTLM, I don't know who's racing, so I'm just going to steal your pick and say the Porsche 911. All right, so there's IMSA.
What else do we have here? AMA Motocross at Spring Creek and the standings. So your rider Ken Rock.
We're introducing motocross now.
Well,
All
we
right.
did that last week. Ken Roxon, Dan, who had the misery season in the Supercross, he's currently 40 points behind Eli Tomac for the lead. They go into Spring Creek this weekend. Tomac and Muscan are 1 and 2. So you got Kawasaki, KTM, and Honda. And then far back and fourth is Jason Anderson. I'd say 51 points behind. Husqvarna, KTM. It's diverse right now. Tomac's on a roll. Who do we got going to Spring Creek? I think it's going to be Roxon. Sorry, Tomac. Sorry.
I don't know.
I gotta go with
Anything.
Roxon as well, man.
You gonna go with
I
Roxon?
don't know anything about supercars. I'm not supercars.
Supercars.
Motocross.
Supercross.
What is Supercars race?
I'm tired right now, so I'm probably
I
gonna
don't
go to
blame
bed
you.
after this. I'm probably gonna go to bed after the podcast. So I don't know anything about motocross. So whoever's the points later gets the win. Boom. Here's my
That's
answer. Yeah, there.
So yeah, Spring Creek is this weekend, and then of course they head over to Washington State later on that. And as for ARCA at Iowa, last but not least, ARCA for the fans with benefits 150.
Friends with benefits? What kind of name is
Fans.
that? I'm about to say, hold on, Arca.
They had the sponsor last year, same sponsor. Who's winning the race? Let's talk about the big five. You got Michael Self, Brett Holmes, Travis Braden, Christian Eckes, Joe Graff Jr. Which one of those five drivers prevails?
You know what? Just so I have somewhat of a win left in me, I'll go with Joe Graff Jr.
I'm going to go with that because
All right. Even though Joe Graff Jr. DQ'd out of an Xfinity race earlier this year. And RCR equipment.
Bro, look at this graph. I'm gonna go with Joe Graff Jr. too.
Man, I think Joe Graff Jr. will win. But I want to be realistic. And if I want to be realistic, Christian Eckes will win this one. I think it does. Jr. Maybe I have 2 picks. But if Christian Eckes, no, it's Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith
Make a pick, goddamn.
Make it pick. Come on, man.
he wins. If he's racing, he wins.
All right. So I think that's all of our picks.
Yeah.
Anything else to talk about?
No, not really.
Let's get 24 hours of spas in 2 weekends from now. 74 entries for the Blind Pan GT3 series. Magic Mile this weekend. Hopefully there's no rain. And yeah, I think it's up for grabs.
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You guys got anything you want to say before we sign off?
Nah, not really.
All right. So that will conclude this edition of the Below the Line podcast. Thank you all so much for watching. Follow us on Twitter at WR Media Group. Follow us on Instagram at World Racing Media. Follow me on Instagram at Velocity87_. Follow me on Twitter at 87Velocity. You guys want to shout out your social medias while you're at it?
Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at Lobustani, and also follow me on my Instagram, which is Danny Aguirre _.
All
right, guys. Thank you so much. I feel like Joe from Blue's Clues. I just gotta squeeze that in.
Oh wait.
Wait. And
also
remember, stay off the tweet. All right. Take care, folks.
Yep. Peace
Take
out.
care.